What's up, Stat Family? Told you we was coming back with another. We got BS Report, Larry Bird, Part 1. This is a live reaction. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that sub button, and comment below. Let get it. Nope.
Honored to have my favorite basketball player of all time, Mr. Larry Bird. How are you?
Good.
I grew up in the Boston Garden. So you were,
I did too.
I know. So I think I wrote once that out of the 25 greatest moments of my life, I think you're involved in like 7 of them. 7 or 8. I'm not sure. I think that Bird steals the ball might be in the top 5.
You need to get a better life.
Let's start with Super Bowl week. Everyone's talking about Peyton Manning, where's he going, all this stuff. You know, back in the day, there was, I think, like 89 or 90. You were upset with your contract. There was a chance you might not stay with the Celtics. Everybody in Boston was freaking out that you might leave. When you look at Manning might actually leave the Colts, I mean, how important was it to you that you stayed in Boston your whole career?
Very important. And I don't remember what year that was, but Red knew I wasn't going anywhere.
Right, but you had to do the whole dance.
But no, well, it really wasn't that. It was just that they wanted to do something in the summer, and they they didn't get it done. And Red was out of it. I was dealing with somebody else, and what they were telling me is this wasn't the truth.
Yeah.
And it sort of upset me, but I wasn't going anywhere. I would never left Boston unless they traded me. I like to see guys come in, especially the elite players, and stay in one place. I think it's very important for this city because we don't have a lot of great ones come through here. And Peyton Manning by far is the greatest athlete ever come through this city. And if he's healthy, you know, hopefully he stays and finishes out his career. But I don't know his medical, but he's been fantastic. I mean, he'll go down in history as one of the greatest quarterbacks, and he's been great in the community. He's got his name on a hospital, and it's just fantastic. And I hope he's able to stay healthy and finish his career here.
Well, like I'm looking at it from my vantage point. Like, all right, so I'm in Boston in the early '90s. You're battling your back issues. Let's say the Celtics ended up with the #1 pick that year, and it's Derek Coleman. And everybody's like, we should pick Coleman, and then we'll trade Bird. Like the Celtic fans never would have wanted that. I feel like. And do you feel like the Colts fans actually want Manning to get traded? Like, or it seems like they want him to stay, right?
Well, you know, after last year, everything sort of blew up.
Yeah.
I'd say really if it came down to it, probably 80% would like to see him come back.
Yeah.
There's always a few that like to see it move on and start all over, but they get spoiled. Fans get spoiled, and if things don't go well next year, if he's not here, then they turn and start wanting Peyton back. But it's too late. But if you have a elite athlete come through, and especially in a small market, you got to hold on to them players. They're not born every day.
Yeah.
You know? So it's hit and miss.
In Boston, there's a big thing about Danny Ainge was talking about. Yeah, I might have to make a trade here. I might have to get rid of Garnett, Pierce, Ray Allen, all 3 of them. And he mentioned how in the late '80s with the Celtics, that Red had told him he had a possible trade for you and a possible trade for McHale, and they ultimately decided to keep all you guys and kind of ride it out, and Ainge thinks that was a mistake. If you were somehow the Celtics GM in the late '80s, what would you have done?
I would have kept him.
Would have kept him.
Well, the one thing about Red was loyalty. And that's why I never wanted to leave there, because I always knew he had my back.
Yeah.
He cared for me. He wanted me to do well. Obviously, he wanted me to play at a high level. I was with Danny and Red and McHale the day we were talking about that. The one thing that Danny threw in there was players' names. And the whole time I was in Boston, I never heard Red mention any other players on other teams. I heard him talking about, you know, draft picks. But I never heard him about, well, Larry, I can trade you for this, this, and this. He just never did that. But
I don't think you were on the table, though.
No, but Danny did tell Red he should trade us now because we don't have much left in the tank.
Well, the one trade that actually kind of made sense, but I'm glad the Celtics didn't do it, was I know Dallas offered Perkins and Shrimp for McHale because they were making a run. It was the year you were hurt in '88, '89. You played like only 6 games.
Right.
You were recovering. And then Dallas did make that offer. And it's a pretty interesting trade. Like, you think like the careers that Perkins and Shrimp had, they would have been in the Celtics for the next decade.
Well, I coached Sam, so I know how good he was
Right,
at the
right.
end of his career. He was a
Yeah.
gamer. But you know what? If you really look at it, Red coached many great players. He had great teams, and there's just too much loyalty there.
Yeah.
And the way he did things, he felt he could rebuild it back in a short period of time. But Kevin McKillis don't come around very often,
True.
and Robert Parrish, but if you want to hold
Promise you
on
they
for
don't.
15 years and play 2 minutes a game is one thing, but in 1987, Kevin played through a broken foot,
Right.
and it's actually broken, and he tried to play, and he's still paying for it. So we don't find them type of guys anymore. Very few of them out there, probably. But Kevin gave his heart and soul to the Celtics, and Red knew that.
A lot of people don't remember that about the McHale broken foot. What's interesting to me is he would do it again because his attitude was, we were so close that year, and it really came down to 1 or 2 plays, and I never would have been able to live with myself knowing that I wasn't out there, and yet he was never the
Well,
same
I can
after
remember that in the finals, and I seen the X-rays. There was a crack in there.
Yeah.
And as the season was over, it just grew. It got bigger. And
And Mahorn was stepping on it.
sure, but Kevin was right. If you get a chance for that last goal and that last couple games you need, you've got to play if you can,
Right.
because you might not never get there again.
That
Right.
was, I think, the one of the lost titles from that era. I
Right.
think 82, I still feel like, which team that never gets mentioned, but Tiny separated his shoulder in the Sixers series. But that was actually the best Celtics team of your early part of your career, I felt like.
Yeah, we had 2 7-game series. I was down 3-1 against Philly and came back both times.
Yeah.
And the last time they beat us in the 7th game in Boston. So
I was there.
we always had good teams.
Yeah.
And it always seems like injuries got in our way, which it does for a lot of teams. But in 87, Irvin always tells me that's their best team. Well, we had a lot of injuries that year. I would like to play them heads up with Walton and the team we had in 86, because 86 was definitely our best team.
You know what? I had dinner with him this summer, and he refuses to acknowledge all the injuries from that 87 team. Because he says how, yeah, our 87 team was better than your 86 team. And I was like, but you guys didn't show up for the 86 finals. We were waiting for you. And you guys decided to just bow out against Houston. He's like, that's not true. But I still think that 86 team was the best of all those mid-80s teams. He disagrees.
There's no question.
Yeah.
I mean, with Bill Walton coming in as your backup, Scotty Wedman,
Yeah.
Jerry Sitchkin, we were loaded.
Yeah.
And if you remember, Jerry shot like 55% from the field that year. I mean, he had open
Good.
shots.
Yeah.
Exactly what we needed off the bench. And Scotty played behind me, and it was just a stacked team.
And the other thing with that team, Wedman missed most of the playoffs, which, when people talk about who was the greatest team ever, I say, well, they lost 2 games in the finals to the Rockets. Well, first of all, it shouldn't have lost game 3. That was the one lose by 2 in Houston. But it was it was kind of a giveaway. I feel like that was a giveaway game.
Yeah. Well, that was the inadvertent whistle, wasn't it?
Yes. You remember that one. Is it true that you can see if we had a game on right now from some game in the 80s, a playoff
used
game,
to.
you would know what play it was?
I'm not as good. I don't watch it that much, but I know 10 years ago, you can start watching, I can tell you what was going to happen. But that's
But
sort of
play-by-play was going to happen?
I might miss 1 or 2 here and there, but I catch up with it. But I haven't done it for so long, I don't know.
Big Bird.
I don't know. I was with somebody the other day, and they had a game on, and I was looking, I said, I barely remember that one.
Oh,
It's
really?
the Pistons, because usually the Pistons I put over here and never paid no attention to them anyway.
The 87, that was when Parrish had a sprained ankle. I think Danny had
I
a
was
sprained
the
ankle.
healthiest one on the team.
You were the
so
only
you
healthy
know.
one.
So
But you were playing like 43 minutes a game, though.
That's all right.
And then
I get
Walton
paid
was
for
out.
48.
True. No Len Bias that year either, which nobody ever factors in when they talk about that era.
Yeah.
If Len Bias sticks around, how much longer do you play, and how much healthier are you?
I
do you
would have
think?
left in 88.
What do you mean?
I would have retired in 88.
That's would have been it?
Yeah.
How come?
Because I started having the ankle problems, and they were going to have to detach my Achilles to get these spurs out. I knew I was going to miss the whole year. If he was there, I would have just shut it down right there.
Really?
Yeah.
Real.
How old have you been? Like 32?
Yeah, I'm 32.
You walked away from all that cash?
I walked away from it anyway.
That's true. Well, I thought 87 put the biggest toll on your body.
You know, the one thing
because-
that people don't understand is if you look at our teams 4 years in a row we went to the finals.
Yep.
And playoff basketball is completely different. I played 2 years of playoff basketball, but our bodies don't have time to recover when we had injuries. So when you go 2.5 months and you start again, you feel better, but you're not recovered health-wise. And that just kept adding on.
Right.
Kobe is one of the toughest human beings I've ever seen because I know what he's been through, and he's played a hell of a lot more minutes than me.
Yeah.
And he just finally figured out, hey, I'm going to get hurt. I'm just going to have to play through it. And that's the mentality of a great player.
And your era was a little different because the travel was a little different. You didn't have these charters. Did you have charter in the mid-'80s? No.
No, we had the last 2 years I was there. It started in '90.
And you had, like in the Pistons series in '87, we're up 2-0. I say we like I was on the team. We're up 2-0.
Everybody in Boston was on that
Yeah,
team.
we were. Plus, we hated that Pistons team.
Real
Goes to
fan.
Detroit Saturday, Sunday, back to back, and then you get in the fight with Lambeer in Game 4. All of a sudden, it's 2-2 in like 24 hours. But they don't do those back-to-back playoff games anymore. Things like that.
No, and we probably played at night and in the afternoon the next day.
Yeah.
I think it was a low-scoring game. The second game, like 80-78 or something.
I didn't know that.
But you just keep playing. I mean, that's your job.
I still think though, if Bias is fine and whatever, he's on that team. You and Mikhail now, like Mikhail has a hurt foot. Now they're like, all right, Kevin, take your time. You can.
Sure.
We got Len Bias,
Sure.
and you're not playing 43 minutes a game
Right.
in May and June and stuff like that. Maybe you play until.
Yeah. You know, I played against Len Bias when he was a sophomore in college, and he was incredible. See, Red used to bring all
How'd
these.
you? Oh, like a college all-star team?
No,
Yeah.
Red used to bring these guys into his camp, all the top players around the country, in to work his camp. And at night we play. I come out there and we play.
Yeah.
I work his camp a little bit and mess around with him. Then that night we play. But he had Brad Daugherty and Lenny Bias. They don't do that anymore. Nobody can do that anymore.
Yeah.
But he got to see all these guys up close. But I do know if somebody else took Len Bias number one, he was taking Brad Daugherty. I think that was Red's really number one guy. He loved Bias, but he couldn't pass up on a skilled big man.
And Doherty was fantastic.
Fantastic.
And he was another guy
He
that
would have
got cut short.
great with any team, but he would have done well with us.
I just remember watching all those guys that year and thinking, meanwhile, it's the best Celtic team of all time playing at that moment, and then we have this pick. And it was like, my God, like, Celtics beat the Rockets in the finals. The draft's like 10 days away, and we're adding the second pick in the draft, and it just seemed like, all right, we win like 7 straight titles.
I remember the night they traded Henderson. Went to the layup line. They took him out of the layup line. We go back to the hotel. He's sitting in the bar. We all go up there and, hey, sorry, Henny, and all that. He says, oh, well, I'll get a chance to play all the time. Well, he's playing quite a bit for us.
Yeah.
Then when they had a bad year, we get the second pick in the draft. Now, I remember when they started doing all the draft.
The envelopes.
But the envelopes and all that. Red's sitting there looking up, no emotion. And it got down to them and Cleveland, I think.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there going, well, Red's going to get the number one pick. That's how much faith you had in the guy.
Yeah.
And I thought for sure, I didn't know who he was going to take because I never asked him, but I really believe he would have took Brad Daugherty.
I actually agree with you, because it was just, when you think about Doherty, Walton, Parrish, and McHale,
He would have took him.
it would have been embarrassing.
I mean, just because that was in '86, he just knows that Bill might go out anytime, get a little bit older, and bring another big man in there that's very skilled. So, but Lenny was one heck of a player, and Red might have been thinking bring Lenny in here, and I want to play Larry so many minutes too. But
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, like, when you think about the 80s and just luck and all the different variables, like, take Worthy off the Lakers from day one. They don't win 5 titles, I'm pretty sure. And I think that was the guy that would have extended everybody else's career. What else, when you think about what ifs from the 80s? Like, the lost title in 82, 87, the team kind of broke down as it went along. Is there another
well,
time?
I really felt that when we won our first championship, I told our team, I said, we got to win at least 4 or 5 of these things, or we didn't do our job.
Yeah,
Because I always thought that we left them on the table.
yeah.
And some of us, you hate to blame injuries, but like in '87, there was just so many guys hurt. And I know the Lakers had guys probably banged up too. But if that was their best team, I would like to play them healthy.
Basically, that Game 4 of the 87 finals came down to the rebound gets screwed up out of bounds, which nobody remembers.
Right,
2 guys in the rebound, they knock it out of bounds. Magic makes a skyhook, which McHale blocks if his foot's not broken. He just missed it.
Well,
And
we were
then you-
down, and I hit a three, put us
You hit
up,
the
I think,
three.
1 or 2, then they missed a free throw.
Yeah, Kareem.
And they get it out of bounds. And if Kevin's going to get fouled if he just grabs a rebound.
Right. And then you missed the final three, which I was sitting midcourt. You were like here when you shot it, and the ball was, and I had a dead, and I thought it was in.
I did too.
And you missed like,
It went
It was
all the
like
way
a
down
sliver.
in and popped out.
just
but
missed it.
When I let it
You
go,
thought it was going in.
yeah, I did. I was
You're
surprised
a
it didn't
shooter.
go in. Because I got an open look. There's 2 seconds on the clock, and I made a move up, and I went, which we've used before with 1 or 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And they lead me into the shot. And a perfect pass. And when I let it go, I just thought, well,
Game time.
that's it.
Right in front of the Laker bench, too.
And I got a shot off that I would have lived with. And, a lot of people say, well, I got a good shot off and missed. I can live with that. But that thing should have went in.
And that probably would have, I think the roof would have collapsed.
Well,
I think that would have been it. That would have been a riot.
That's like in '84, we lose our first game at home. Game
Yeah.
2, Henderson steals the ball. Game 3, they blow us out. We're going, what the heck?
Yeah.
Game 4, we just got to start getting tougher.
Yeah.
And the whole series changed that day. Put a lot of pressure on. And we always felt that if we played the Lakers, we could always do something here to take the heck out of them. And if you get them thinking about if they're going to get hit or somebody saying something, it takes them off their game because they like to get it out, run, and just keep pushing, get in their flow. You got to take them out of that flow.
Your era, it was so much more physical, and stuff was just settled on the court, and it was fine. And now it's like if somebody stares at somebody too long, it's a tech, it's a double tech. Oh, you touched me. Like even you had that thing with Danny Granger and Kevin Love the other night. That was, pretty stupid. It's like the refs have to review it for 10
Yeah.
minutes. Do you think this stuff's just dumb?
Well, they need to put a stop to a lot of it because in the 80s when I played, there was a lot of cheap shots. If you go back and watch the Pistons playing against Chicago,
Oh, my
Michael and
God.
Scotty were getting pounded. And a lot of it happened after the whistle. Like you're going in and you get fouled, and the guy goes ahead and tries to, that's a free foul. I remember when I first came to the league, there was no layup rule.
Yeah.
But guys were getting hurt, and it takes a toll on your body. They had to clean it up some, but they've taken it too far, especially with the flagrant fouls and stuff.
You got in a couple scraps
Yeah.
back in the day.
Big Bird.
You weren't afraid to
tried
throw the
to.
knuckles around.
Didn't hit anybody, but I like to throw them.
Hey, you beat up Alan Bristow.
I don't know if I beat him up.
Wow, you got a
Chased him
couple
around
good
a
ones,
little bit.
man. There was the preseason game, which was a classic, which you against Ivoroni. And
Every
then it
time.
was like Maxwell against Moses. Then Red came out of the stands. Like, those were the days.
Why would they have us playing the 76ers in exhibition 3 times?
For money, probably,
No,
right?
for fighting. It
Just set
happened
the
every
tone.
time. Every
Yeah.
time. I heard Charles Barkley a couple of years ago. So when he first come to the league, they're playing these exhibition games, and the guys were loosey goose, and he thought that's how it was. He said, all of a sudden we played the Celtics. Walking in the locker room, I was talking to everybody. Goes, hey man, calm down. He said it was a real game,
Yeah,
and sure enough, something happened.
yeah.
For real out
And
there.
that's just the way it was.
It's funny. I went to the Clippers-Lakers preseason game this year, and it reminded me a little bit of those Sixers-Celtic games where it was like, it was not a preseason game.
Right.
These guys were like, they wanted to beat each other. And I've been to 3 of those games so far. There's real animosity. It's kind of fun. Like, I miss those days of, I don't like the stuff with the guys hugging before the games and all that
No.
stuff. I wish
No,
it was
you
the
got-
old days were back.
This is your job. And a lot of people depend on whether you win or lose. We got this building, we got all these workers, they got to feed their families.
Yeah.
And you go out there and mess around and you don't put a full effort into it every night.
Come out
Not
there
only does your
playing.
team suffer, but everybody suffers from that.
Right.
So if you're winning, everybody's happier.
You left the bad blood on the court for the most part, but not with Lambier. You never really ever liked Lambier in any social situation.
No.
Yeah.
And it's because he was a dirty player.
Right.
Now, he had to do what he had to do. I understand that. But you take like Ricky Mahorn, he'd hit you and all that, but he'd hit you. You know you're going to get hit.
Yeah.
But he didn't try to maim you.
Right.
Bill tried to hurt you.
Right.
And he was one of them guys. You shoot a jumper, he tried to slide his foot underneath your ankle so you twist your ankle. And that's why Parrish
Did he
always
really
went
used to
down.
do that?
If you watch any of our old games, Parrish was always twisting his ankle against the Pistons. So one time I shot a jumper and Lambert did it to me, and I stepped on his foot, but I stepped on a high and twist my ankle. I don't know, a quarter or 2 later, he was shooting that jumper. I slid mine on there. That's the last time he ever did it.
Really?
Yeah. But he was, he had to play the way he had to play, and we all understood that. But if you carry it too far, you carry it over the line, you got to protect yourself.
I was at the game when the famous game where you stole the ball in the second quarter, and the crowd just had so much hatred for Lambeer for that game. I've never been in any sort of a sporting event where the crowd hated a player that much. And I'm convinced to this day that the crowd convinced Parrish to punch him in the second quarter.
Oh, no question.
Because you watch the replay and it was like barely he did anything. Barely,
It should have happened 2 plays before.
You're right. And it was just the crowd wanted it to happen.
You know, they were on him pretty hard, but I never seen the opposing fans get on anyone like I seen him get on Ralph Sampson.
That was the other one I was going to mention.
That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And this poor kid, they might as well just took him home because I think he ended up with 2 points and 2 rebounds. And I think the game before they had like 24 and 22.
Yeah.
They took him completely out of the game. And that's one thing about fans. I mean, Boston fans, I mean, I can go on the paper. You know, sometimes they get there, they just expect it. And the crowd ain't into it. I can just go in the paper and tell Bob Ryan, put in that I'm pissed off at the fans. And the next time you go in there, they're crazy. But you didn't have to that game. I mean, we were in the locker room, and you know you could hear fans out there, but in '86 at Game 6, that locker room sounded like they was in the locker room. And I can remember looking at Bill Walton. Bill Walton said, "Hey, they want blood." And I said, "Yeah, they don't care whose they get. If we don't win this game, they want our blood. That's how it is here." But that was a wild game, and just the emotions were so high because we had our best team and we had to win that game.
And the crowd, I was at that game. I was in the tunnel. I think everybody was there like 45 minutes before that game.
Yeah,
People were just ready.
Yeah.
And when Sampson walked out, he walked by us. You could just see he was done.
Yeah.
He was petrified. And
Yeah,
he should have been. He was like, really seemed like he was getting killed.
He's picking on Jerry Sichting. Come
Right. You used to like that, though. You used to like when the crowd got on you.
Yeah, you know, it's funny how it works. I used to get very nervous and a little sick before each game. But once I stepped on the parquet, it was all over with. Now it's time to battle. And when the fans were into it, or we wasn't into it, they let us know, and it'd do the same thing if they're screaming real loud to me. You know, they don't like it. You know, they paid their money to come in here. You know, they traveled. I mean, I know people used to go down after work, get something to eat, and go to the game. Not once a week. Every time we played, for every game I was there. So you felt indebted to them to at least go out there and try to do something special that night and win a basketball game.
Part 1, BS Larry Bird. Salute Bird family. Thank y'all Stat family for watching the full video. We're going to be back with another video after this video. Make sure y'all stay prayed up. Y'all be safe. Y'all be good. You know?